The concept of visibility is arguably the most important concept you need to understand in order to advance your career. So welcome to another coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and on my channel I want to help you to become successful in the first years of your career. And today we are going to talk about visibility. Before we get started, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video. This is Allianz Consulting. Allianz Consulting is hiring for several open positions. You will find a link to their careers page in the video description. So what is visibility all about? And the first time I really had an eye-opening moment about this was in one of my earlier interviews as a young student. I was working on site in that company and suddenly I realized that the colleagues were getting a little bit more nervous. There was a certain atmosphere in the office and I was a bit unsure. What is it? What is causing this? And so I got in contact with some of the people. I asked them and then I found out that actually it was promotion season. So it was the season of the year where the candidates, where the different colleagues in the company were being discussed, were being evaluated by the people processes that were in place to then make the decision who will get the promotion and of course also who will not get the promotion. And in this context, I suddenly overheard a conversation that some of these people had, and these people were talking to each other about another person that was in another team. And I overheard one person saying something like, "Oh, this person is not visible enough. This person is not visible enough, which is why this person will likely not get promoted." Visibility. This is what I want to talk about with you in this video. I will talk about what it actually is, why it matters, and what you can do to increase your visibility and thereby also fast track your career. The key fallacy that is behind all of this is the thought that people have in their minds that if they just do a great job every single day, if this is the only thing that they do, then they will get noted, they will get promoted, they will have a successful career. And this is a mindset that people adopt from leaving high school, maybe even from going through university, where of course this link between your immediate performance, the time you put in to study, and then the results, the exam grades, the exam results and so on, this link is much more established. But this is a fallacy after all, and everyone knows this, I trust, who just spent a couple of years in corporate. This is a fallacy. This is not how it works. And to understand this, it is important to think about how the promotion, the designation processes work. And I'd argue this is very similar. It doesn't matter whether you work in consulting and professional services or whether you work in a corporate environment. Maybe the details differ, but in the end of the day, how it works is that 1 or 2 times a year, usually these people committees come together, the HR community comes together to then evaluate and assess individual employees and check who's ready for a designation. But how exactly does this work? Usually a more senior leader of that organization in a consulting firm, these are usually the partners, the senior partners. In corporate, these are some senior business unit leaders. They put together a case for the people who are being discussed and are up for promotion. So they will collect information from the different departments, from the direct supervisors, the team leads that work together with these people. They will conduct interviews, collect info, look at the last evaluation sheets and so on. And based on that, they will present this to the committee and make a suggestion whether this person should be designated or not. And then often there's some discussion going on. Of course, many people maybe would like to see their candidates designated, but usually not every person can get designated. And this is how it works. So think about what this implies. What this implies is that very often it is not your direct supervisor who will then stand in this committee and make the case for you. It might not be the people in your team or maybe also in some other teams you very closely worked with, but often it will be someone else, someone much more senior, 1 or 2 or 3 levels above these people who will then make the case for you. So these are people whom you are not in direct contact with. Maybe you have never even seen these people. Maybe these people have never even seen you, right? And this, of course, is a big issue. Now try to put yourself into the shoes of one of these senior people who needs to present the case to the committee. Let's say they have two candidates on their table, right? So the one person working in the one team got great reviews from the direct supervisor, from the team lead, but this senior leader has never seen that person, has never personally interacted with this person. And now that person also reviews a second candidate. Very similar reviews this candidate got from the team lead and from the other peers, but this is a candidate that the senior leader has been working with very closely over the last months or years. That is a person who has been very visible to this senior leader. What do you think? Who has higher chances of getting promoted, of getting designated in the next review cycle? Both candidates have very similar, very comparable performance reviews, but still the one person is visible and the other person is not visible to the people who then indeed make the decision in the end. I trust it is not surprising at all that it will be the more visible person who has the higher chances of being promoted. This leads me to a saying that is very common in business, and this is: perception is reality. Perception is reality. Maybe you did an excellent job. You're exceeding all the expectations that were expressed towards your role. You were going above and beyond of what was required from you. But what if no one knows about it? What if no one has the perception that this is what you were doing? Then arguably it's worthless, right? It doesn't matter. You didn't do anything for what's that worth. So you always need to think about what are the perceptions that your actions are creating. A term that is often used in this context is perception management. Especially if you have a career in corporate, consulting, professional services and so on. At some point you need to think about how to manage perceptions of your peers, of your clients, of your colleagues, of your supervisors. You need to become good at perception management. And of course, in most situations, there will be quite a tight relationship between your performance and the perception that is getting created about your performance. But this is not always the case, right? And you hear this all the time, that people complain that someone else took the credit for his or her work, that something didn't go the right way, that people are not taking notice of the merits, of the results, of the impact that you are creating. You hear stories like this all the time. This is in the end what it always comes down to. Perception is reality. And of course then also the question, whose perception? Just the perception of your team lead? Is this the only person who knows about what you did? Or does the senior leader know about you as well and has also this perception that yes, this person in this team is a high performer, this is a rock star, someone that really created significant impact for the organization. Right now I'm standing here on the rooftop terrace of Allianz in the heart of Munich. Big thanks to Allianz for supporting the work here on Firm Learning by sponsoring this video. Allianz Consulting is currently growing quite rapidly among their locations across the world. So if you are interested in a new opportunity in in-house consulting, in strategy consulting, IT, business, operations or any other roles like that, I will link the Allianz career page in the video description. Feel free to check it out. I trust there are many opportunities out there for you to grow both professionally and personally. But now let's continue with the video. So what can you do to increase your visibility at work? And let me share 5 tips that hopefully you find actionable and helpful. First, strategically think about the interactions you are going to have in this week, in next week and so on. Now in a consulting context, for instance, very often the partner is coming in once per week, maybe one day of the week, and you're having this 90-minute meeting with your partner. Or maybe the senior partner is only coming in every second or every third week, right? So often it's just very few interactions that you can have throughout the course of a project, of an engagement, that very much shape the impression that this person has about you. So what you better make sure is that in these 90 minutes that you have with that person, or maybe only these 1 or 2 meetings every month you're having with the senior partner, you make that count, right? So you are making sure that first You have maybe a certain role in this meeting. So if you're politically smart, this might be something you might be able to align with your team lead. Hey, what is the section of the meeting maybe you can lead, you can drive, you are responsible for, to avoid that you are just the person sitting in the meeting room not saying anything. It's smart to think about what are some topics that you want to raise, what are some questions you want to ask, how do you want to say certain things. Very few interactions with these senior leaders often in a very significant way impact the perception that these people have about you. So make sure that these interactions count. Second, clearly communicate your successes. This of course starts with first you having a clear understanding what your successes are, but then second also communicating them. And this might be in your weekly one-on-ones you're having with your direct supervisor to make sure that you are also going over the topics you completed last week, what the result was, what the impact was, not only talking about some issues or maybe the next steps for the next weeks you're having. Another technique very commonly applied in consulting, and I'd say very helpful for other roles as well, are end of week emails. So it would be very common for project leads, sometimes even senior associates, to write a summary of the week at the end of the week, highlighting first the highlights, so what happened, what has been achieved. Second, the lowlights, what are maybe also some obstacles you're facing, things that the team needs to overcome. And third, what are the next steps, right, that you are facing in the next week. Third, engage yourself in activities beyond your day-to-day job. So what can you do on top of what you're doing anyways, right? So this might be organizing a team event, a team dinner maybe. This might be engaging yourself in office activities, maybe in organizing an office event, organizing some charity work that is led by the office. Often these types of initiatives are also sponsored by partners, senior leaders in your organization. So this is usually a great opportunity to work together with one of these people. Fourth, be mindful of how you say things. Many people tend to always say we did this, we did that, we achieved this, we achieved that. And of course, from a team perspective, that's understandable. Rarely it was only yourself to do something. Often it was a teamwork, right? But still, I think it's very fair game to also highlight your contribution. What did you do? What was your impact that you had? So that's very similar advice that you also often hear when you write your CVs, right? Always make sure to not only highlight the team accomplishments, but also your individual contribution to what has happened. By this, of course, I do not mean that you should take away the spotlight from your team or that you should take credit for work that you didn't do. Of course, be ethical, but within the things that you really did do, make sure that you also take the credit for what happened and for what your impact was in the situation. Point number 5, this is maybe an unpopular opinion, so I really hate to break it to you, but even back in the days, it was considered conventional wisdom that if you want to fast track and advance your career, it's usually a good idea to be close to the headquarter, to ideally work in the headquarter compared to maybe some remote other location, some remote other business unit or country organization. The reason being that, of course, the closer you are to headquarter, the closer you are to the senior leaders, to the board members, to the business unit heads, to the decision makers, right? And of course, this to some extent still holds true today. Of course, it depends on the company culture. If it is a completely virtual organization, even the senior leaders are never to be seen anywhere besides some video calls, and this might not be the case. But often, hey, in most organizations, there is an office. And surprise, surprise, in most organizations, the senior leaders, they don't do 5 days a week home office, but they tend to be in the office a bit more often, a bit more frequently. And so this is a great opportunity to go to the office as well, meet people, interact with people, increase your visibility. And I'm very sure that if you look into most companies and you look at what are the people that get promoted, what are the people that are not getting promoted, probably there will be some interesting studies in academia about this in the next years, but I'm pretty sure that if you are in the office and make yourself visible, this will definitely not hurt your chances of advancing your career and getting designated. I know that not everyone sees it that way. Feel free to disagree with me, leave a comment in the comment section and share your opinion with the community. So if you took any value out of this video at all, please destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and of course subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on my content. Big thanks to all the members of the channel, and of course also to the sponsor of this week's video, Allianz Consulting. Allianz is hiring for many roles around the world. You will find a link to their careers page in the video description. Feel free to check it out. My name is Heinrich. I'm releasing weekly videos here on this channel. See you again next Saturday. All the best to you and bye-bye.